Assalamu alaikum, student. Can you see the presentation? Please tell me.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Today we will discuss on interception, very important topic because this condition is very common in pediatric age group in our region because associated with loose motions. As you know, the pediatric age group, the most common disease is loose motions. Within 1 year, recurrent loose motions are the one risk factor to develop the interception. So today we will discuss on this topic. This condition is associated with severe abdominal pain because the underlying small bowel most commonly invaginated into the adjacent portion, so causing the obstruction and ischemia also. So severe pain is the main feature in involved infants because of the recurrent loose motions, invagination of the small bowel, causing the obstruction and ischemia. So most common acute abdominal pain in infants, previous history of loose motions, always suspect interception. What happened? Why we call interception? Basically, invagination of the proximal loop into the distal portion, telescoping of this region, proximal loop, telescope goes into the distal portion. This portion causing the obstruction, underlying lumen become narrow, along with the mesentery and the vessels. So ischemia and the severe ischemic pain may be present with this type of the feature. When the edema produce, it causing oozing of the blood and goes distally and coming out through the rectum. So patient's second feature, common feature is the bleeding PR, yeah, mucus current jelly like stool. So these two features always the majority of the patient present, severe abdominal pain and bleeding PR. This picture showing the most common involvement of the invaginated loop. Distal earlier loops in the majority of the cases invaginated into the cecum and ascending colon along with mesentery and bellal vessels. And if delayed diagnosis, these invaginated loops cross whole colon, rectum, sigmoid rectum, and coming out from the anal canal. So timely management is very important. If delayed diagnosis, this complete invagination causing the more strong pressure over the mesentery and mesenteric vessels and causing the ischemia and necrosis, even in the perforation. Very serious complications can occur. So history and clinical examination is very important to confirm the diagnosis and early surgical treatment. This picture showing the significance of interception if not timely diagnosed and timely management, then it can occur. This distal lobes invaginated into the cecum and ascending colon, cross the complete colon and coming out from the anal canal. So these are look like a rectal prolapse, but basically the interception, very late presentation leads to gangrene and ischemia of that region and required excision. This unlucky baby present very late and leads to intercepted loop prolapsed from the anal canal. So early management is very important. Early diagnosis and early management. Interception most common age is 5 months to 1 year of the age. Majority of the patient, but it may present in later age. Uh, Even 90% cases they present less than 3 years of the age. 75% present within 2 years, but the remaining 90% of the cases present within 3 years of age. This interception basically the uh, common type of interception. Other secondary type of interception which may be present in the later age group also, in the adult, in the older age group, sometimes in the neonatal age life. This classical interception, most of the patient present within 5 months to the 1 year or 90% 3 years of the age. Why interception occur? Why this proximal small bowel loop uh, colon invaginated into the distal portion? In etiology, majority of the studies suggest that in the classical type of the interception, which is primary interception or idiopathic, because the exact cause is unknown. Maybe few studies suggest previous infections like loose motion history usually present in this type of the classical variety of interception, and sometimes the various infection involving the different systems of the body. They are the risk factors and causing the weakness in the GIT and the bowel, the wall of the gut, which are the predisposing factor to develop the interception. Other variety is secondary interception, secondary to the lead point pathology in the wall of the gut. It also producing the interception, and the age group usually older age group or sometimes the very early, because the pathology already present, it causing the invagination of this proximal loop into the distal loop and causing the obstruction and ischemia and vascular compromise. Types of interception. Usually we divide the interception depending upon the etiology and depending upon the underlying involved segment. The etiology-based classification is, as we discussed, idiopathic interception, in which the actual cause is unknown, and most of the patient classical type of the interception present with this idiopathic interception, in which there is no actual pathology in the gut wall. Lead point, the etiology-based classification, the another type is lead point causing the interception, so-called secondary interception. Very few number, less than 2% of the cases, this type of interception can occur, and various pathological issues in the wall of the gut look like this in this picture. The Meckel's diverticulum is the responsible to develop the interception. In other cases, polyp in the GIT causing the interception. Even in the tumors in the older age group, the malignancy causing the interception. So the interception, if there is a known cause, the pathology in the wall of the gut which causing the interception, we call label this condition is secondary interception because of the lead point is present. These lead points may be, as I told you that Meckel's diverticulum in few cases, sometimes mesenteric lymph nodes, they causing the interception, or malignant tumors, maybe benign tumors, lymphoma, multiple polyps, look like the Peutz-Jeghers syndrome, hematomas, benign conditions, they causing the interception, the ganglioneuroma, duplication cyst. So various pathologies in the GIT sometimes produce interception, and we call this type is secondary interception. Another classification depending upon the involvement of the segment. This a classification is, for example, the ileum is involved commonly. So we call it ileoileal interception because the proximal loop is also ileal loop, which invaginated into the distal segment, which is also ileum, portion of the ileum. So ileoileal interception. Sometimes colon, proximal type portion of the colon invaginated into the distal portion. We call this type is colocolic intussusception. Sometimes jejunal loop entered into the ileum. We call it jejuno-ileal intussusception. Sometimes jejunum proximal portion invaginated into the distal portion of the jejunum. We call it jejuno-jejunal. So depending upon the underlying involved segment, which portion is invaginated and which portion is engulfing this invaginated loop, we label this type is intussusception. Symptoms and signs of intussusception. Usually, this condition is not chronic condition. So, patient present with general good health. There is previous history of infection, maybe respiratory tract infection involvement, maybe loose motions. So, any other infection involving the other system of the body in history, they may be present. And because of these infections, the underlying gut wall may be weak and causing the invagination of the one portion into the another portion. When the intersusception develops, patients usually present with these triad of symptoms: vomiting because of the obstruction, abdominal pain because the invaginated loops carry along with the mesenteric vessels and causing ischemia of the dead region. So severe pain because of the ischemia plus because of the intestinal obstruction. Third feature is passage of blood per rectum, which may be mixed with stool and which may be mixed with the mucus of the GIT secretions. So current jelly-like stool in one third of the cases present. These are the diagnostic features. So baby usually present with colic abdominal pain, intermittent episodes, different episodes of the pain, and between the pain, patient become cool and calm. But during the attack, baby become very irritable because of the underlying colicky pain. So draw knees up to the chest, so and causing excessive cry, very irritable, and we confirm that patient feel the pain in the abdomen. Secondly, on examination, we can easily appreciate the mass, palpable mass, which may be any region of the abdomen. Most of the cases, the right hypochondrium, because of the ileocecal intersusception, palpable in the right hypochondrium, just below the liver. But depending upon the extent of the involvement, maybe in the left hypochondrium, and even in delayed presentation, this mass palpable in the left lower iliac region also. So mass is usually present, which confirm that patient has intersusception. So diagnose depend upon the detailed history and clinical examination. Then we advise supportive investigation. Plain X-ray abdomen is a very important investigation. We find out the features of intestinal obstruction. As you see in these two X-rays, there is no gas in the lower abdomen, suggestive of the intestinal obstruction. Secondly, the multiple air fluid level in the X-ray erect supine position. These multiple air fluid levels suggestive of the intestinal obstruction and paucity of gas in the pelvis. There is no gas, very decreased amount of the gas. Cut-off value is positive. So X-ray suggests intestinal obstruction along with the detailed history, age, bleeding PR, palpable mass. All these symptoms suggest patient has most likely intersusception. Second important investigation is ultrasound abdomen. This ultrasound examination showing two signs basically. This target sign, we call it target sign. because the intersuscepted loop look like ring-shaped sign, multiple rings within localized ring within the abdomen. This sign suggests patient has intersusception. Second sign is pseudokidney sign because this mass usually present in front of the kidney. So ultrasonologist find out patient has two kidneys. One kidney is a true kidney and second look like a kidney in front of the true kidney. So they label because of the looking of same like a kidney. So they called it pseudokidney sign. These two signs, target sign and pseudokidney sign, are the diagnostic feature of the ultrasound, an ultrasound that patient has intersusception. X-ray barium enema, contrast enema. In few cases, if X-ray erect abdomen or ultrasound is not helpful, even the history is not clear that the patient has intersusception or not, then we advise X-ray barium enema. Usually we not advised. History examination plus the X-ray and ultrasound, we easily confirm the patient has intersusception. But in few cases, doubtful cases, we advise X-ray barium enema. X-ray barium enema, in which the diluted barium sulfate injected into the rectum to visualize the colon. So rectum, sigmoid colon, descending colon, and transverse colon easily you can appreciate it. Then this contrast flow not reach into the proximal portion of the transverse colon because of the obstruction in the lumen. So this finding claw-like sign, we call it claw-like sign. पंजे की तरह ये नजर आ रहा है. So claw-like sign is positive in contrast enema and confirm that patient has a mass in the lumen. And this mass, in because of the age, because of the history, so clearly confirm that patient has intersusception. There are contraindication. Not advise this X-ray if you are suspecting patient has peritonitis, severe abdominal pain, bored, rigid-like abdomen. We not advise this contrast X-ray because the leaking of this barium into the free peritoneal cavity causing the severe barium peritonitis. Peritonitis plus barium causing the irritation in local layers. So barium peritonitis can occur. We not advise in those patients when we are suspecting patient has a perforation or peritonitis. Even X-ray showing the gas under the right dome of the diaphragm confirm the pneumoperitoneum. We not advise X-ray barium enema. Even any condition in pneumoperitoneum or perforation, the contrast studies are contraindicated. But in few cases, we can advise to confirm this condition if patient has no perforation. This video showing the intersuscepted loop. If you see, this is intersuscepted loop. This is a cut section along with this mesentery. So mesentery, the engulfing portion called intersuscipion, or this intersuscepted loop called intersusceptum. And along with this mesentery, the vessels are also going inside, invaginated into the distal portion. This is the proximal portion. So easily understanding that patient has this lumen invaginated and causing obstructed. Lumen is completely obstructed and the dilated vessel is causing oozing of the blood which going into the distal direction and coming out from the rectum. This vessel is causing the infarction and ischemia, necrosis and the perforation. So perforation occur because of this stretching of this muscle wall of the GIT. Yes, intersusception we discussed, maybe because of the polyps and tumors. These are the lead points and causing the intersusception. In this case, if you see this is an intersuscepted loop, and because of the polyps, polyp are, is present here. This polyp causing the intersusception. So secondary intersusception in this case, if you see the other polyps also present in the wall of the gut. This polyp, so patient has a multiple polyps in the wall of the gut, and this polyp is associated with intersusception. So this condition, because of this polyp is the lead point, we called it secondary intersusception. If you see the multiple polyps, plus important finding this, the ischemic points, black spot suggestive of patient has a vascular compromised and ischemia. So necrosis is the main cause of the perforation. Management. After the history, clinical examination, and the investigation, when we confirm the patient has a serious disease, intersusception, we admit this baby because of the dehydration, previous history of loose motion, vomiting, and intake is not proper, so required IV fluid resuscitation. So baby admitted. Plus, because of the bleeding PR, some patients also required blood transfusion. So 24 to 48 hours required to resuscitation to normalize the hemoglobin and normalize the electrolytes balance. Nasogastric decompression also required because of the repeated vomiting and IV fluids plus antibiotic cover. So once the patient is stabilized, then we plan reduction. This reduction may be operative, may be non-operative also. In few selected cases, we advise non-operative radiological reduction. How it performed? We passed fluid or sometimes in the air into the rectum and causing the pressure over the colon in the distal portion. This pressure causing the pushing back of this intersuscepted loop, intersusceptum, the invaginated portion going back into the normal position. So this phenomena become reverse because of the creating of the intralumen pressure in the distal portion, in the engulfing portion by fluid injection, by air injection, in air insufflation. During this procedure, pediatric surgeon should be standby because the a few cases because of the delayed presentation, because of the significant edema, despite of the creating intralumen pressure in the distal loop, this intersuscepted portion cannot push back into the normal position. So in few cases it may be fail. Sometime during this procedure perforation can develop. So pediatric surgeon should be standby, OT should be arranged during this procedure also. Sometime in emergency patient shifted from the radiological department into the OT, into the operation theater. So surgeon should be ready, anesthetist should be ready. Then this non-operative radiological reduction is advised to reduce this intersuscepted loop. This picture showing how we perform non-operative reduction. If you see, this is the barium enema diluted, diluted in the warm saline, hot saline, and through the catheter, we deliver this normal saline diluted contrast into the rectum and causing the fullness of this distal portion. When this fluid accumulated with significant amount, it causing the pressure and try to push back this intersuscepted loop. Up to the ileocecal junction, we confirm that patient has successfully achieved reduction, non-operative reduction. How we confirm? This procedure always performed under the live images, under the fluoroscopic guidance and sometimes ultrasound guided. So we see the live images that where is the fluid and where it passing, either it is successful causing the pushing back of this intersuscepted loop or not. This X-ray is showing the live images of the fluoroscopic guidance of passing of non-operative reduction. If you see, we pass this contrast barium enema, and this barium fluid reach up to the intersuscepted loop and causing the pushing back of this intersuscepted loop. And yes, it is, even pressure arises, it's partially reduced. And in this picture, successfully reduce of this non-operative reduction, and because the contrast cross the ileocecal junction and the small bowel loops also visible. So if tribe cross the ileocecal junction and distal ileum is visible on live images of the fluoroscope, and even in the during the ultrasound guided reduction, when the small bowel full with the contrast medium, we confirm that patient has successfully reduced intussusception. So few cases patient can be prevented from the surgery. Majority of the cases, because of the late presentation, unfortunately delayed diagnosis, loose motions, bleeding PR, usually treated by the general practitioner. So they not timely referred us to confirm patient has underlying intussusception is present or not present. So late presentation is not successfully reduced with non-operative method. So we required a surgical reduction. How we perform this surgical reduction? I have a video I want to share. If you see, after the delivering of the intersusceptal loop, this mass is if you easily see that present inside the lumen of the another portion of the gut, and from distal direction the gently pressure to reduce this intersusceptal loop. So if you see the small bowel loops easily reduced from the distal portion, so alveolar intersusception in this case, and with this lead point, if you see patient has a lead point, Meckel's diverticulum. This Meckel diverticulum causing the intersusception. The rest of the bowel loops examined clearly. Patient has no gangrene, viable gut with vascular good supply, but there is a Meckel's diverticulum in this case. So intersusception may be primary, may be secondary, and depending upon the involved segment, we label which type of intersusception is present. So if in this video, alveolar intersusception with Meckel's diverticulum. So secondary intersusception, depending upon the etiology and depending upon the involved segment, we label alveolar intersusception. The indication of the surgical reduction, because the non-operative reduction is although is very good approach to reduce the intersusception, but in case of the alveolar intersusception, the non-operative reduction is not successful because the pressure we can create pressure in the colon. So alveocolic intersusception is the ideal for non-operative reduction, but despite of the very much pressure, the distal ileum is we are unable to produce very much pressure in the distal ileum, so unable to reduce alveolar intersusception even in the high amount of the injection of this diluted barium sulfate. So alveolar intersusception, we usually advise surgical reduction. Second, non-operative reduction failed because of the delayed presentation, because of the very much edematous ADNs, we unable to reduce through the non-operative approach. So we advise surgical reduction. Extreme of age also one indication of the intersusception. In first month of the life, even in the older age group, non-operative reduction is not advised. Why? Because the gut wall is pathologically one lead point is present. Secondary intersusception in these age groups is commonly present. So we required surgical reduction and excision of this lead point also. If we not excise the Meckel's diverticulum, we not excise the polyp, even in the malignancy tumor, benign or any other tumor, if we not excise, the patient repeatedly present intersusception. So recurrent intersusception is common in extreme of the age because of the underlying pathology is persist. So secondary interception always required surgical correction and the removal of this causative agent, yeah, causative factor. Failed manual reduction, yes, same. The non-operative reduction if failed, then we advise surgical reduction. Perforation, if on x-ray, on examination, we find out the patient has a peritonitis and the free air in the abdomen, then non-operative reduction is not advised. Secondary lead point, yes, secondary interception always required surgical reduction. Recent advances, very important because the laparoscopically reduced interception is associated with fast recovery, less pain because of the decrease uh, uh, surgical site infection and surgical site wound. Uh, Post-operative requirement of the analgesia very much decreased. So early recovery is possible and easily a patient go into the perform normal life. So laparoscopically nowadays, in few cases we advise if there is no perforation. In case of the perforation and the contamination, yeah, required resection, then the open surgical procedure is required. This is another important video of the classical type of the interception, primary interception. So incision is made, right transverse incision, right upper transverse incision just above the umbilicus. And then with the help of the diathermy, we divide the muscles and then opening of the peritoneum and passing of the finger and open the complete peritoneum carefully. Then we deliver the intercepted loops, which are usually palpable during the examination. This intercepted loop, if you see, is a colon, and in which there is a distal ileum intercepted into the colon up to the descending colon. This portion is, I think, transverse and the proximal portion of the descending colon. And surgeon tried from the distal direction into the proximal direction with gentle pressure over the distal direction. So the luckily patient has only the edema and early explored. So vascularity is very good, well vascularized colon. He carefully pressure applying over the distal direction to reduce the intercepted loop. If you see, yes, the interception is gradually reduced. The movement of the intercepted loop, invaginated loop, is visible over the this interception segment, engulfing segment. Inside this, the interceptum, the invaginated loop, is gradually reduced with applying the pressure over the distal portion from the distal direction into the proximal direction, with also applying of the warm normal saline soaked gas pieces, abdominal sponges to reduce the edema because the hotness causing the vascular dilatations and helping to reduce the edema. So after the applying pressure, this warm normal saline soaked gas pieces help to reduce the edema and help to easily reduce this intercepted uh, distal ileum and ileocecal junction into the colon, transverse colon and proximal portion of the descending colon. With gentle pressure, if you see the bowel loops in these are the intercepted bowel, small bowel loops, and yes, if you see this is appendix is coming out from this intercepted segment. So this appendix also goes into the transverse colon along with the invagination of the distal small ileum with cecum, all goes into the transverse colon and the proximal portion of the descending colon. So with careful gentle pressure, with applying of the warm normal saline soaked gas pieces to help to reduce the edema, we successfully reduce with this open reduction method to invaginated loops coming out from this portion from the cecum. Now this is a cecum and ileocecal junction is here. So significant edema is present. Gentle pressure is required because the very much pressure, if we fast reduce, it may cause the perforation or serosal tear. This wall is very weak, fragile because of the edema. So we not hurry and very gentle and careful reduction required and pressure from the distal to the proximal direction. So if you see, yes, gradually he is successful. Surgeon is very trained and we try to check the adhesions within the loops. Gut is good. If you see, the viability is very important. So vascularized, well vascularized gut, there is no blackness in the gut wall. So there is no gangrene or ischemia. And he's now is removing this ileocecal junction. If you see, he is very successfully reduced the antisusception. And now the cecum, very important portion, he trying to reduce the cecum. Very importantly, complete reduction is required because sometimes the secondary point is also present, so we completely reduce and check the lead point or an a point where from which the intersusception is started is very important to examine to prevent the recurrency of the intersusception. So complete reduction is required, and he's trying to reduce the intersuscepted loop. These are the distal ileal loops which are intersuscepted and goes into the cecum and ascending colon and transverse colon. Now reduced successfully, and he's trying to reduce the last portion of the intersusception. He check with the help of the artery that there is any other fibrous tissue present or not present in the sides of this intersuscepted loop. And now he's trying by applying the pressure over the distal direction, not forcefully pulling off this proximal portion. Is very important, contraindicated. He is applying distal direction pressure, just from the distal to the proximal direction pressure, and carefully checking, repeatedly checking that any other tissue which obstructing and prevention of the reduction. So he check, and also steady pressure from the distal to proximal direction, and applying of the warm normal saline soak gas pieces to relieve the edema. Significant amount of the distal ileum is coming out, but even this there is still required reduction because the few portion of the distal ileum is also still present in the cecum. So he's trying very careful, gentle. Yes, ileocecal junction is coming out. If you see, easily appreciated. This is a small distal portion of the ileum going into the cecum, and now he is reducing the ileum also. So ileal intersusception in this case. So three variety of the intersusception in this case. Patient has initially developed the ileal intersusception, then this portion goes into the cecum, become ileocecal intersusception, and even that this intersusception loop reach into the colon, ascending colon up to the transverse colon. So ileoileal intersusception initially, now surgeon is trying to reduce this ileoileal intersusception, which become ileocecal intersusception and ileocolic intersusception. Now he is near to achieve the complete reduction. He successfully achieved ileoileal intersusception reduced easily with help of the warm normal saline soak gas pieces. Now he's near, yes, this portion is completely reduced. This is the distal ileal portion, and there is no obvious lead point, just localized defect, localized edema because of the intersusception, and he's clearly examined all loops. And now again applying of this warm normal saline soak gas pieces to facilitate the vascularity of this edematous gut and reduce the edema. Now all loops re-entered into the abdominal cavity. Again, examination of this edematous loop and confirming that there is no lead point. Appendix cecum is re-entered into the abdominal cavity, and again applying of this edematous point of the intersusception loops so that vascularity is again rechecked. Patient has good vascularity, good supply of the gut of that region, then closure of the abdomen with standard fashion. So the purpose of this sharing of this multiple videos to understand the underlying topic clearly. In summary, interception always suspect when patient has previous history of loose motions and present with acute abdominal pain, vomiting, because this condition is very common and if missed, associated with serious consequences. When present with acute abdominal pain, vomiting, and bleeding PR, always suspecting patient has interception until proven otherwise. So surgical review is very important. Pediatric surgeon review is very important. Delayed diagnosis leads to even gangrene and cutting off that portion of the gangrenous portion and resection and anastomosis required. Routinely, we perform interception every week, even every third, fourth day, intercepted patient coming landing in the emergency room. And when we explore, we find out the gangrenous gut because of the delayed diagnosis. From the periphery, the patient came in our hospital, the civil hospital, and delayed diagnosis leads to serious complications. We always resected complete right side of the colon, distal portion of the ileum because of the pharynx, gangrene, and perforation. So always keep in mind, bleeding PR, severe pain and vomiting associated with previous history of loose motions. There is interception. Always keep in mind until proven otherwise. So early diagnosis is very important. On diagnosis, we usually advise X-rays, plain X-ray abdomen suggestive of intestinal obstruction. Examination, yes, mass is palpable, and ultrasound and contrast enema, barium enema, uh, confirm the diagnosis. Then few cases, yes, non-operative reduction is advised, and successful 85% cases if patient is selected adequately. But in majority of the cases, if failed non-operative reduction, then advise surgical exploration. And I have shared videos to clear your concept that how we reduce this interception. Okay, students, any question you can ask now. Okay, I think I have cleared all your concept. Okay, thank you, students.